Good evening, sir. Hello, welcome back, ladies, gents, and Pikachus. Hope you're not feeling rough today as we explore another dog-based platformer game on the Evercade. Goodboy Galaxy comes on its own cartridge along with Witch and Whiz, which is a particularly special puzzle game which I really love, but we're going to do that another time. Today we're going to be concentrating on Goodboy Galaxy, a 2D style platforming dog-based space-faring game. So, looking into the cartridge details, reading the bio, we can see that Goodboy Galaxy is a platformer game for one player only. You take control of spacefaring dog Maxwell, who has found himself thousands of light years away from home with a depleted hyperdrive, and it is your job to save him. Explore several huge planets, make new friends along the way, and find the spare parts Maxwell needs to fix his ship and make it back home, watching out along the way for ancient gates which steal your equipment, requiring you to traverse new areas without the use of your blaster, jetpack or shield. So that's a kind of scant description of the game. There's a little bit more to it than that, but why tell you about it when I can show you? So that's what I'm going to do now, get a new game started without further ado and show you the wonders and delights of Goodboy Galaxy. Just a little admission from me before we get started. Usually for these reviews I haven't played the game before and you see my initial reactions to playing the game. But on this occasion I completely forgot what I was doing, such was the fun I was having, and I played about 6 consecutive hours of this game. So I have deleted that game, I'll be starting a new one, so we'll be getting started with a brand new save file. We'll be looking at the intro movie and the tutorial, so let's get stuck in.
Are you sure no one saw us in the car chamber?
Said Maxwell, realising his voice was extremely similar to Patrick from SpongeBob. So yeah, I'm not going to be doing silly voices, they need a little bit more practice, but as you can see, our story starts in space, escaping from an evil alien force who we have some stolen technology from. We're trying to escape them using our little tiny spaceships, but unfortunately they give chase, shots are fired, and eventually we are shot down, crash landing on an unknown planet below. Using his super fast doggy reaction speed, Maxwell thinks about controlling the craft to a safe descent, but gets distracted and decides to read his WhatsApp messages instead, and the resulting crash destroys his ship and also destroys the scientific observation tower of the game's first NPC. So our adventure starts with Professor Whiz realising that we've crashed into his observation tower and showing the dismay that you would usually show having your house destroyed by a random spacefaring dog. And our initial task, after having learnt the controls to move around the game, will be to recover some spare parts for Professor Whiz and fix our ship and his observation tower. So we start off, we've got a jump button, we've got a shoot button, and that's pretty much it. You can shoot in all 4 directions. Your jump is assisted with a jetpack, making it 3 times higher than your normal non-jetpack jump. And in addition to this, you also have a super shield, which is a circular shield which surrounds you and protects you from 1 bump of damage. However, once you are damaged, your shield will regenerate after 4 to 5 seconds, and you do have some iframes to protect you in the immediacy after being hit. So it's quite a forgiving combat system. You will die on the sections where you lose your shield. There's sections of the game where you will lose your jetpack, your shield, or your blaster. And I think just a little bit of care is needed when you lose your shield, because 1 hit will kill you in those scenarios. But apart from that, it's fairly forgiving. And we are off to find our first spare parts.
Oh dear, it appears I'm too light and vaporous to press this blasted button.
Just a little hint for you there, go and press the button, and in doing so you will reveal one of the game's main attractions, the physics system. So as you work your way through the game, you will eventually come across the antagonists, which are these little green ugly aliens, and the ugly little green aliens upon their heads are carrying the spare parts which you need. So in effect you need to negotiate the levels, figure out the mechanical contraptions, and recover all the spare parts. And you will also find spare parts just randomly lying about, and when you've recovered the sufficient amount of spare parts that you need, you can return to Professor Whiz, help him fix his observatory, and in turn he will help you fix your ship. To add to the challenge, you will come across these electrified ancient gates, and what these will tend to do is take one of your pieces of equipment, your jetpack, your super shield or your blaster, This will be returned to you once you have collected the spare part, made your way back to the gate and completed the puzzle. In order to help you navigate your way around the huge hub areas of each planet, you will find rows of collectible gems which point you towards your next objective. In addition to that, if you just gravitate towards the areas where the aliens and the enemies are, you'll generally find the next thing you need to help you along your way. When it comes to combat, you start off with a pretty weak blaster, 3 bullets and then a reload is required. But to make things easier, the initial enemies you will fight are actually killable with the 3 shots, so as long as you don't miss, you'll be able to kill them before you need a reload. Also, using your super shield will make things easier. As I said before, it does regenerate when you hit spikes or when you get bumped by an enemy. Although there are some areas where the ancient gate will take the shield off you, and on these areas you just got to be a little bit more careful, squishing the aliens. I do like those animations, I must say. See, at this point I should have figured out you can actually stand on the heads of the aliens and then just shoot directly down in order to kill them. And when you are stood on their head, they're kind of pinned in place. But you don't need to kill them, you can just jump on their head, steal the spare parts from off the top of their head and whiz straight past them if you are that way inclined. So the main gameplay loop consists of finding your way around the areas using the mechanical contraptions and activating the generously sprinkled checkpoints like that one there. And what you will find is, after a while you'll get used to the combat system, navigating the different areas using the mechanical tools, using the gems in order to find your way, and before you know it you will have found all the spare parts and you will be able to return to the NPC to report your progress. Now, as you've probably guessed, the mainstay of this game is the puzzle solving. So the combat is good fun, and it isn't too difficult, but you can avoid it completely if you're that way inclined. Like I said, you don't actually have to do much fighting whatsoever. But the thing you cannot avoid is traversing the different levels and solving the puzzles, and I feel like that's where this game's strengths lie. The puzzles are so well designed and logical, you can pretty much figure them out without any help whatsoever. But if you can't figure them out, the NPCs are always on hand to give you little tricks, hints and tips. You can use your star map and the lines of collectible gems to help you find your way towards the next objective. Finally, just keeping your eye out for some environmental storytelling, the placement of the different enemy types will really help you along your way. Now, there is a little bit of backtracking in this game, and you all know how I feel about backtracking. However, the way they've decided to approach backtracking in Goodboy Galaxy is every time you re-enter an area, generally you will be faced with a different challenge because you will have a different piece of your equipment missing and the placement of the enemies will change. So it is backtracking, but the backtracking is slightly varied, and that means you are always facing a new challenge, a new set of enemies, and you've always got something extra to think about. In addition to that, if you're smart, like that one, you can use your environmental mechanical tools to kill the enemies, which in this instance doesn't really matter, but there are some levels where you will need to use the mechanical items to kill the enemies, otherwise you will die like I just did there because I forgot I didn't have the shield. But it's okay because I used the checkpoint earlier, which is just behind me, so I don't lose too much progress. And even if you are to be killed, when you respawn you will still have the gems you collected, so you don't lose too much progress even if you are to die, until you lose all of your lives and your continues and it's game over. But it's very unlikely that you will actually get to that stage. Like I said, I played for 6 solid hours, and though I died many times, I never ran out of lives because you always pick up new lives along the way. And I never found that I was getting frustrated or bored with any lack of progress. In fact, I barely noticed any progress that I did lose because the levels are so varied, and that random factor of you having a different piece of equipment missing always kept things interesting. So as you see now, we've collected all the spare parts I need, I've made my way back to the gate and regained my equipment. It's time to head for the surface and reconvene with Professor Wiz to fix his observatory and hopefully, with his help, fix my ship and get myself back into space to continue on with my quest. Yeah, look at the cute little animation. Don't you just love those? I really like how they went to the extra effort of just putting these tiny little animations in every now and again, just to let you know you've hit a milestone or you've completed a specific part of the game. Unfortunately, Professor Wiz doesn't have a hyperdrive he can give you, so what you will need to do is return to your ship, blast off and explore the other planets, and you will do this after accepting a friendship card, which is another mechanic this game thrives on. Every time you help an NPC complete one of their tasks, they will give you a friendship card, and if you ever need their services again in future, you can return to this planet, and you can enlist their help through the use of that friendship card. So we get our first look at the galactic map to see what planets are in this current system, before re-entering our ship and taking to the stars. Throughout the game you will find there are several different star systems, each comprising of multiple different planets, and each planet has its own theme. They have different background sounds, different background music and different graphics, along with different enemy types, NPCs and equipment to be collected. And although there are many different planets, it's kind of like an open world game. There's no particular set order in which to complete these planets, so you are free to explore at your own will, complete the planets at your own pace in the order which you choose, and hopefully picking up the 3 scrap items which you can add to your collection from each planet. Completing side quests for these NPCs that you find will become one of your most important tasks, and the reason for this is they can offer you upgrades and different pieces of equipment which will make you more powerful and make your eventual goal far easier to complete. So the main strengths of this game are the exploration of the different levels and the different star systems using your ship, the fun and engaging and quick combat of different enemy types, and the variety within the puzzles of the levels, varying from very easy like that tutorial level to fiendishly difficult like some of the later planets. And I find there's enough variety in the environments of the different planets to keep even the most gristled and old and experienced player such as myself interested, but still offering a fair challenge to a younger player. In fact, I would recommend this as a parent and child game, or like a young teenager or a teenager would enjoy this game, because even though it's got kind of kiddie styling on the graphics, there is a lot to be learned through the dialogue and the wittiness of the puzzles. It really is rewarding to figure out how to kill each enemy without getting hit, or to finish each puzzle without losing a life or losing your shield, or there's just so many ways you can play this game, and I really feel like it's such a great success story for the developer to have got this far with it. Not bad for a game that was started off written in BASIC on a simple computer as a school project, and is now one of the greatest games on the Evercade platform, which I will thoroughly recommend you go out and buy. So in conclusion, Goodboy Galaxy really is a gem of a game. I absolutely love this game from start to finish. Well, not start to finish, I haven't actually 100% completed this game yet. I'm quite near to the end after like 8-9 hours of playing. But the graphics are absolutely amazing, the cutscenes are really cute and fun, the character development and even the NPC dialogue really keeps you on the edge of your seat and is funny at times, sad at times. It really keeps the game interesting. The level design and the puzzles are witty, but they're not too difficult. And finally, the friend system and the exploration of the space, the different planets and the open world feel to this game really give me the feeling that this will become a classic game and everybody's favourite on the Evercade platform. So in conclusion, what's the fun rating score for this game? I've got to give this game a 10 out of 10. I shouldn't really, because I haven't completed it yet, but just the amount of fun that I've had with this game already, and I know it's going to continue right up until I 100% complete the game. Bearing in mind this game started off as a school project written in BASIC, just to see what it's become now 2 years later, I think they couldn't have done this any better than they did. And in conclusion, you should 100% go out and buy this game before it goes out of stock, and it will become one of your favourites on the Evercade system. So that brings us to the end of our review and the end of this video, so I hope you really enjoyed that. God bless, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye now. It's almost like Earthworm Jim 2, slightly easier and more varied, with a dog and better graphics. Yeah, definitely go out and buy this, you'll love it the same as I do, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye now.